Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 2, Divinity and Divine Service. Text 1. Vyasa uvacha iti samprashna sanhrishto vipranam ramaharshanihi pratipujya vachastesham pravaktumupchakrame.
Hare Krishna. Ugrasrava, Sutta Goswami, the son of Roma Harshana, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the Brahmanas, thanked them and thus attempted to reply.
Text 2. Sutta uvacha Yam pravajjantam anupetam petakrityam Dvaipayano viraha katara ajuhava putreti tanmayataya tarvo bhinedu stam sarva bhute hridayam muni manatosmi.
Srila Sutta Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage, Sukadeva Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. When he went away to take up the renounced order of life, sannyasa, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread or the ceremonies observed by the higher castes, his father, Vyasadeva, fearing separation from him, cried out, 'O my son, indeed only the trees which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to the bereaved father.'"
Text 3. Yasvanubhava khila shuti sarameka madhyadmadipa patiti tirshatam tamodhama sansariram karunayah puranaguyam tam vyasa sunumupayami guru muninam.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, Sukha, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vasudeva, who, out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge, after having personally assimilated it by experience.
Text 4. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva
Narotaram Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirati.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vasyadev, the author.
Text 5. Munaya sadhu pushtoham bhavadbhirlokamalaggalama yatkrita krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati.
O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self.
Text 6. Savai punsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir dhokshaje ahetukya pratihata yayatma suprasidati.
The supreme occupation, Dharma, for all humanity is that by which man can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self.
Text 7. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayatyashu Vairagyam ज्ञानं च यदहेतुकम्.
By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world.
Text 8. Dharma svanushthita punsam vishvaksena kathasu yaha notpadayed datiratim shrama eva hi kevalam.
The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead.
Text 9. Dharmasya yapa vagaryasya narthortharyopakalpate narthasya dharmerkantasya kamo labhaya hi smritaha.
All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification.
Text 10. Kamasya nendriya pritirla bho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jigyasa nartho yascheha karma bhihi.
Life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiring about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works.
Text 11. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yaja jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagwaniti shabdate.
Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagwan.
Text 12. Tachraddhana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pasyantyatmani chatmanam bhaktya shrutta grihitaya.
The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Sruti.
Text 13. Ata pumbhira dvija shrestha varnashrama vibhagasaha swanushthityasya dharmasya samasidhir haritosanam.
O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation, according to caste divisions and orders of life, is to please the personality of Godhead.
Text 14. Tasmadekena manasa bhagwan satvatam patihi Shrotavya kirtitavyascha dheya pujaschа nityata.
Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees.
Text 15. Yada nudhyasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti ko vikdas tasya ko na kuryat katharatim.
With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message?
Text 16. Shushrusho yat shraddadhanasya Vasudeva katharuchihi Syanmahatsevaya vipra Punyatirtha nishevanat.
O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva.
Text 17. Shrimvatam swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridyantasto Ya Bhadrani Vidhunoti Sruhatsatam.
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, Supersoul, in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji, for reading the Sanskrit and the English translation.
Prabhuji, please forgive me for my mistakes.
It was very nice. Thank you so much. It was very nice. Thank you. Thank you. These are the sweetest verses. Chapter 2. It only gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter with every chapter. This is Bhagavatam. Okay, so I will open the verse for today if I can. Well, yes, we'll chant the prayers before we start reading or reciting Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namastitya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. The invocation prayers, almost all of them are part of this chapter. We already probably read a few of them. Another will probably come in the following chapter. So the verse for today is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 9. Dharmasya hi apavargasya narthorthaya upakalpate narthasya dharmakantasya kamo labhaya hi smritaha. Dharmasya hi apavargasya narthorthaya upakalpate narthasya dharmakantasya kamo labhaya hi smritaha. Synonyms, word by word translation. Dharmasya, occupational engagement. He, certainly. Apavargasya, ultimate liberation. Na, not. Artha, end. Arthaya, for material gain. Upakalpate is meant for. Na, neither. Arthasya, material gain. Dharma ekantasya, for one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service. Kamaha, sense gratification. Labhaya, attainment of. He, exactly. Smritaha is described by the great sages. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhu.
Okay.
Yeah, Prabhupada. I would request others to be on the. Okay, I've made that. I have to mute some of you, sorry. Thank you. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. Purport. We have already discussed that pure devotional service to the Lord is automatically followed by perfect knowledge and detachment from material existence. But there are others who consider that all kinds of different occupational engagements, including those of religion, are meant for material gain. The general tendency of any ordinary man in any part of the world is to gain some material profit in exchange for religious or any other occupational service. Even in the Vedic literatures, for all sorts of religious performances, an allurement of material gain is offered. And most people are attracted by such allurements or blessings of religiosity. Why are such so-called men of religion allured by material gain? Because material gain can enable one to fulfill desires, which in turn satisfy sense gratification. This cycle of occupational engagements includes so-called religiosity followed by material gain, and material gain followed by fulfillment of desires. Sense gratification is the general way for all sorts of fully occupied men. But in the statement of Sutta Goswami, as per the verdict of Srimad Bhagavatam, this is nullified by the present sloka. One should not engage himself in any sort of occupational service for material gain only, nor should material gain be utilized for sense gratification. How material gain should be utilized is described as follows. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Se He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhuvya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Paschat Deshakarine. Vakam Karoti Vacharam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yalkitakamhamande Shri Guru Dinakaranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna, thank you so much for being here on this Sunday evening. It's amazing how many of you are so keen to hear about Bhagavatam. So nice. You're all very, very great souls to assemble for Bhagavatam. So today's verse is verse number 9. Dharmasya hapi vargasya nartho arthaya pakalpate narthasya dharmaikantasya kamo labhaya ismritaha. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. So, setting the context a little bit. So, in the first chapter, we had 6 questions asked by the sages, and the first question was they asked Sutta Goswami to define what is the ultimate good for people in general. And the second question was to describe the essence of all Vedic literatures. And we had in this chapter, we probably started to answer a few questions already. So the first question of what is the ultimate good for the people in general? Anyone would like to share? This Bhagavatam says that Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radhokshaje ahitukeya pratihata yayatma suprasidati. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radhokshaje. Savai, he, certainly for him, the topmost dharma is to perform ahituki apratihata. Ahituki means unmotivated, apratihata, uninterrupted devotional service unto the Supreme Lord. This is the definition of what is ultimate good for people in general, for everyone, people in general or everyone. That question is answered by Sutta Goswami, very beautiful verse, and probably the verse that we can just live with, and describes very clearly what is it and what is it not. It is the devotional service unto the Supreme Lord Krishna, and without interruption, without ulterior motive. This Prabhupada, stretches this point a lot, particularly the ulterior motive. Pratihata is, as we go on progressing in the spiritual life, we develop that taste as we go on performing our sadhana bhakti. Bit by bit, we develop taste for it, and we get that, hopefully, with the blessings of devotees and service to Srila, we get to the stage where our bhakti becomes uninterrupted, continuous in whatever we do. We just remember Krishna or do for him. And the second question that was asked was, what is the essence of all Vedic literature? And that question was also answered by Srila Sutta Goswami. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti, I'll say it in a minute. I think it's verse number 7. Very beautiful verse. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah Janatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayadahitukam. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah Janiyat Yasu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayadahitukam. So Vedic literatures, what is the essence? The essence again is the same. Bhakti unto Vasudeva, Sri Krishna. Yeah. Unto Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The devotional service is automatically, gives rise or gives one acquires causeless knowledge. Causeless knowledge. That's very important aspect. Bhagavatam is if we read Bhagavatam carefully, it describes everything in a very fine-tuned way, so we don't miss the point. This is causeless knowledge, because the knowledge can have sometimes motive as well, and it's been already defined that this bhakti is without any ulterior motive. So often the knowledge comes with some motive to get some pratishtha or get some fame. This is not that knowledge. And then detachment from the world. Again, detachment is in a way that it is attachment to Sri Krishna, not the usual detachment, what we normally people understand. So So this is so Vedic literature. The purpose of Vedic literature is mostly defined as, okay, it gives you what? It gives you knowledge and it gives you vairagya or detachment. But Sutta Goswami clarifies that this devotional service unto Supreme Personality of Godhead will bring that automatically. Yeah, so we already discussed it, just bringing the context to the verse today. I'm sure it's been covered very nicely. There's this short story about this Srimad Bhagavatam. There's a story in Padma Puran where uh, actually this is a chapter for Bhagavatam Mahatmya, Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya, where Narad Muni happens to be at the bank of the Yamuna River in Vrindavan, and he sees this divine personality lady sitting there, and she's young and she's very divine, very beautiful, and she's sitting there and on her lap there are two old people, two old men there. And Narad Muni is a bit perplexed to see what's this happening. Why is this lady sitting there? Why there are these two old men on her, lying down on her lap, and they look very weak. And Narad Muni goes closer, and then he realizes, oh, this is Bhakti Devi herself. And he's again confused, what's going on here? She's in Yamuna, she's in Vrindavan, Yamuna, and she looks very perplexed. And there are these two old men. She looks very sad and tired. So he asks, you are Bhakti Devi, how come you are so sad? And she says that these are my two children, Jnana and Vairagya, and they are getting old and I'm worried about them. And actually I traveled and I took birth, this is towards the later part of the Bhagavatam, and Padma Puran describes a little bit like that. Bhakti in this yuga took birth in the southern states, and she says that I took birth in down south Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Srirangam, and then I was in my childhood in the Karnataka, and then I progressed further. I was in youth in Maharashtra, then I become a little bit older in Gujarat as she goes on, but as soon as she arrives in Vrindavan, she regains her youth and her beauty. But she says, I have regained all that, but these two children of mine are still, old and weak. I don't know why they are not being revived. And you are this, Devarishi Narad, and you probably should be able to answer, this question, or maybe, find a solution for this problem that I have. And Narad Muni wants to serve Bhakti Devi, and he says, okay, I will take this vow that I will do whatever is required to make these two children of yours young again, and and healthy again. And he happens to go to then he's trying to find a solution. What do I do? He goes all the way to Badrika, and that's where the four Kumaras meet Srila Narad Muni there. And so they asked Narad Muni, you're the Dev Rishi, you're always chanting Lord's name. How come you look a bit worried and you're looking for something, it seemed like, or someone? He says, yes, I'm looking for someone who can help me with this, because I don't know how to revive these two children of Bhakti Devi, Jnana Vairagya. And then Kumara says, oh, don't worry, we have a solution for that. And they ask him to go to Hardwar, and they said, okay, you arrive there, and we arrive there, and we recite Srimad Bhagavatam, and these two children of Bhakti Devi will be, young again. So, and this is I think that's for the Padma Puran. That's the latest that Bhagavatam was spoken after the originals, after Sutta Goswami spoke. This is a little story in Padma Puran. So going back to the verse and translation today, so I'm going to share again. Yes, the other thing that's happening here is the purpose of human life is as described by the scripture. So this is continuing the the dharma aspect of it. The dharma already has been established by Sutta Goswami. What is the ultimate dharma? Savayipamsa param dharma, paro dharma, yato bhakti rado saje. But then he has to provide more information as to what is not bhakti, and sorry, what is not the purpose of human life. And here, this is the four purpose: the dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And this verse starts to say that, again, this is like don'ts and do's and don'ts. This is a don't, what is not, again. So all occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation, and they should never be performed like this. What is not? They should never be performed for material gain. The order of dharma, artha, kama, moksha was like, okay, you perform some religious or pious activities, and with that you get some artha. Artha means you get some opulence, some material gain, and when you get some material gain, you get kama. You can fulfill your material desires, and once you've done all that, then the fourth thing is the moksha. But often, more in this time and age, there is hardly any dharma left. What is left is obviously only two things: artha and kama. People just want to have more and more material gain, and they want to have more and more desire. They want to satisfy more and more desires. Desire is something that is always there. There is a very nice explanation of desires. The desire that the human mind, or actually in any species, desire is part of the human mind. And the scriptures explain that the desires are just like the waves in the ocean. Just like the ocean cannot remain without the waves, similarly, the mind cannot be there without the desires. The mind is full of desires all the time. So then the purpose of life, human life, is just that exact desire management. We do so much management. There is marketing management, finance management, all sorts of management. But what is really required for the learned is to manage their desires. So to have the right desires. We don't say don't have any desires, because we can't exist without desires, but having the right desires. But unfortunately, that desire is more tilted towards the satisfaction of the senses. So that's what the translation says. One who is engaged in ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense. So the purpose is not that. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defines the fifth purpose of human life for everyone. Does anyone know what the fifth purpose is? Okay, I'll say. So this is, Mahaprabhu says, it's the Prema Pumartha Mahan. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamalam Prema Pumartha Mahan. This famous verse. So Mahaprabhu says the ultimate purpose is prema. Prema means developing love. Developing our dormant love towards Krishna. That is the ultimate occupational service. And the other thing is about the general tendency is any part of the world is to gain some material profit in exchange for religious or other occupational service. But nobody is actually interested in the, in these days for this moksha. And this, what is driving the whole world today is passion, more and more and more. And we already learned in Bhagavad Gita, what does passion bring? Passion brings miseries. Some passion, passion for material gain. Passion to serve the Lord is good, but passion for material gain brings more and more miseries. And actually, people get bewildered. There's a very simple story that Prabhupada, used to say about there is this villager who is sitting, on the beach under a coconut tree, and someone goes from the city, some fast city, maybe New York City or London City, to this little village somewhere in India or wherever, and this person who's near the beach, there's a coconut tree, and is just lying there, and he's got a little cart with the coconuts, and this person from the city comes along and says, "Hey, what are you doing here?" He says, "I'm just lying down. I didn't have many customers, so just taking some rest." And so, "What do you do?" I said, I just sell this coconut. How many coconut do you sell in a day? Does anyone know this story? Maybe someone can speak, or I can say whatever. Does anyone want to share? Okay, I'll carry on. So this person says, "Okay, so how much money do you make in a day?" He says, "I sell about 30, 40 coconuts, about maybe 100 rupees, sometimes a pound or 2 pounds those days, whatever." And the person is really, it's just, "What are you doing? Why are you wasting your life lying down like this? Just making such little money." And then he says, "Okay, then what should I do? You seem like educated, person, and you seem to know everything. Tell me, what should I do?" I says, "Well, what you should do is you should have more coconut trees. How many trees do you have?" I said, "I just do one tree." And no, you should get more trees. I said, "Okay, how do I have no money?" "You can borrow some money." "Okay, then what do you do?" "Then you go to the bank or borrow privately or do whatever, do IPO." And then what do I do? And then they get lots and lots of coconut trees, and then you can, the coconut is in full demand these days. Everyone wants coconut oil, coconut this, coconut that. So you can just start exporting coconut all over the world. I say, "Okay, then what happens?" So if you do that, you'll have millions of pounds and dollars or whatever. And they say, "Okay, then what happens?" And it says, "Once you have all that, then you can just, retire peacefully." "Okay, then what do you do retiring peacefully?" It says, "Once you have all that money, you retire peacefully in a way, just go in a small village somewhere, lie down under the coconut tree." And the guy says, "Well, I'm already doing that. Why do you have to work so hard, take so much loan? I'm already lying under the tree. So why do I need to work so hard?" So this working hard is the nature of the passion, and the passion which drives most of the people today. People have no time to think and look back. How much energy should I put in my material life? We all struggle with the same question. How much effort? How much energy? How much should I collect? How much should I? How much is enough? How much is good for my retirement? And this and that. That's everyone's trying to figure out, including myself. Always trying to figure out, okay, when can I do this? When can I do that? When can I retire? But that passion is it just keeps driving everyone, and we forget the real purpose of human life, which is certainly not this. And other thing that is very interesting in this verse is apavargasya. Does anyone know what is pavargasya? Pavargasya, this is like a Sanskrit. There is vargas. There is ka varga, the cha varga, like that's like the pa varga. Pa varga means there is, the letters, how the Sanskrit is from ka, ka, ga, ga, cha, cha, ja, ja, like that. So there's the pa, pa, bha, bha, ma. It's very, how beautiful this is described. I can tell you that. So pa varga means these 5 letters: pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. Yeah, some of you may be familiar with this, some of you may not be. Most of you may be. So pa. So what does pa stand for? Pa means parishram. Parishram means hard work. Everyone's working hard. We need to work hard. And everyone's working hard to make their living today. whether it's human or cat or dog, bird, everyone, you see, I go in the back garden these days, more birds, more coming around, just going around, finding where is food, where is food, where is food. It's hard work, and people are just going to London City. Nothing wrong with London City, but yeah, if you go in the underground, you see how much people are really working. Start early in the morning, travel far away, far distances, and work all through the day, come back. It's hard work. Hard work. So pavarga means parishram. Yeah. And after pa, what happens is pa and then pa. Pa is pa stands for foam or fena in Sanskrit. Fena foam means they're like foaming, just like a horse, and the horse is foaming. The foam coming out of people. Now the people, working so hard and sweating and running around, driving hundreds of miles. This is the material life. So after lots of hard work, there is so much of the foam, so much of the energy, human life is being wasted there. And after pa, then comes the ba. Ba has two different connotations. Some scriptures say ba means birtha. Birtha means like it's a waste. It's a waste. And the other thing is baddha. Baddha means it's the what is bonded. So we're so bound up with this hard work and this pain because we have to meet so much of our material target or pressure, and there's genuine problems. It's not that people are sometimes just working. And most often there's also people have to work in today's day and time. It's so difficult to do, but what happens is, as a result of that, we're just bound with the cycle of just work hard to do this again, bills, and work hard and pay the bills, and it goes on and on and on. And then the other thing that follows with that is the bhaya. Bhaya means the fear. Everyone is driven by the fear. It's so fearful. Yeah, Prabhupada's name is Abhaya Charana Ravindra. Abhaya means no fear. Yeah, Prabhupada has 40 rupees. And at the age of 70, he travels to the West in a cargo ship. He has no fear. He had 2 heart attacks on the boat. He has no fear. He still carries on with the journey. He goes to the places, no one, no close relative, no one. He had a friend who said, okay, my son may probably pick you up. This is a bhaya, but the situation with the material life is, it comes with so much bhaya. We always have the nature of this. It's not just the nature of this material life, material world is, there's always fear, whether it's us, people are fearful of the situation. There's fear going on everywhere in the world for one reason or the other. Job fear, the weather fear, war, fights, quarrel, hypocrisy everywhere. And no one is spared. Even the birds, we see the birds in the back garden, we give them some bird food, but they're looking 5 times here before they peck on something. There's fear that, okay, what will happen? I don't know. There are no hunters. I've not seen any in this country. Maybe there are some, I don't know. But there is this, fear in there. Ma stands for mithya. Myth means the death. And also pavarga stands for parishram, which is hard work. There is pain with foaming. Ba with the baddha or birtham. And there is bha is the bhaya and mrityu. So hard work, foaming, and bonding, and fear and death. This is material life. This is the good news for what to say sometimes. This is the good news we got for you. This is what happens. And apavarga means the opposite of that. Yeah, pavarga, Sanskrit, apavarga means the opposite of that, means none of these 5 things. Can we just imagine, in today's day and time, to say, well, I don't have these 5 problems of working hard, of forming, or any fear, none of these things. So this is what the Bhagavatam can give us. Bhagavatam can give us this. We get, and this is what the liberation is. Liberation is of these 5 problems. Material life means these 5 problems, and liberation means, we have no more these 5 problems. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshanam. We have none of these 5 problems. And this is what Bhagavatam is promising, right from the first verse, second word, Dharma. Dharma projita kaitavatra, paramo nirmatsaranam satam. Vedyam vastavam vastu, shivadam tapatrayo namudanam. Yeah. So, Dharma projita kaitavatra. Kaitava Dharma is rejected by Bhagavatam. This Kaitava Dharma is all of these things. You perform some religious pious activities and you get some earth out of it and you do enjoy your life. This are the first three things. That's what goes on in either gross sense or the subtle sense. And Bhagavatam raises above all these. And as we progress toward this, is the definition of dharma will keep on, getting clearer and clearer. So what is the ultimate? How Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita hai? How is that going to give us rise to the knowledge and vairagya? The knowledge is what? Knowledge is this knowledge of what is the real dharma? What is the purpose of human life? What is the purpose of all the Vedic literatures? All this Vedic literature, Dharma is also like Dharma is defined by Lord Himself. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. So Lord Himself defines what is Dharma for us. He establishes the yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat. Every time there is a fall in the religion or religious activity, Lord comes Himself to re-establish. And today's time again, Mahaprabhu comes once again to set the ultimate dharma for this yuga is the chanting of the Lord's names. So this is the promise of Srimad Bhagavatam. And as we started this journey, the journey gets just sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. We experience how Sri Krishna is, there's also one of the questions that the sages ask is after Sri Krishna has left for his own dham, where is the dharma and jnana gone? So that dharma and jnana, the visa hai, is all in Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the beauty. And Prabhupada explains that even in the Vedic literature, all sorts of religious performance. So Vedic Karma Kanda is so common, more so in India. More so in India. Don't know about here, there's no refrigerator. I don't know. I don't come across anyone talking about religion or any of these religious acts. The people are charitable for sure. Yeah, people perform some charity. That's a nice part of it. Charity is always good. It's always should carry on. People should always be charitable. But Bhagavan Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 3 things must carry on: the charity, tapasya, and sacrifice. The austerity, sacrifice, and charity. These 3 should carry on at all stages, all time. So, but there are people who perform the yajnas, and they're all solid. All the yajnas performed, if someone is able to perform, very rare in today's day and time to find anyone. First of all, nobody should be doing that, but even people are doing, and there is a way to get the varieties of material, gains, and Bhagavad Gita explains how people worship different demigods for different purposes to gain this material, that material, this aspect, for one or the other. The whole description, whole science of what yajnas should be performed, what mantra should you go to astrologer, it'll tell you what mantra you should chant for this problem, that problem, worship this deva, that deva, for Shani, for Rahu, for Ketu. Yeah, this is what we need to hear in Gaura name. Yeah. So why are such so-called men of religion also allured? Even people are, of so-called religious people, but they are allured by the material gain because the sense gratification, the desire for sense gratification is so high. Bhagavad Gita verse, yahi sankrasya jab hoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya na teshu ramate buddha. Yeah, yahi sankrasya, the whole of this material sense gratification, the senses, the enjoyment that we get from the senses becomes the source of misery. the very enjoyment that we're getting from a particular sense object becomes the source of misery. This is Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's explaining that. And as we move on, as we start to look internal, we start to introspect a little bit. It's amazing how every statement that we hear from Bhagavad Gita, from Bhagavatam, we can start to see that as truth. And our faith in the scriptures, in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, get deeper and deeper, stronger and stronger. And we start to get taste even better and better. So it's just a matter of introspection. And we experience this either with our own experience or we look outside. Krishna also says in the Uddhav Gita, there's a verse where Krishna says to Uddhav, that you can look outside and see what's happening with people and learn from that. That is your basic learning. That's true for all of us as well. You can start, see outside, take a step back. Even for us, we become like sometimes we take a back step and observe our own activities as a third person. It's amazing. It's an eye-opener, like, oh, wow, I was doing that? Or am I doing this? It's such a beautiful thing to do, like every day introspect a little bit with the Shastra Jakshu, with the help of Guru Shastra and Sadhu, we get that understanding. And the cycle of occupational, the next statement says, the cycle of occupational engagement includes so-called religiosity, followed by material gain, followed by fulfillment of desires, and so on. So we discussed how the desires are unlimited. Desires should be, pretty much every verse, every discussion, we talk about how we can, move our desires more towards fulfilling Krishna's desires. We have desires because Krishna has desires. As we go on to the second canto, we understand the creation, we understand how the desires happen. Because Krishna desires to taste, we get a desire to do that. So everything is there originally from Lord Krishna, and we get that. It's just, we need to bring all those back into some Siddhi Haritoshanam to satisfy Krishna's desires. Then everything is fine. We feel fully tuned in. We don't get any bad music. Yeah, so that's our little coverage of what we discussed. We discussed about a little story of how the knowledge and Vairagya automatically develops with the regular study of Bhagavatam, and Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti, how the Bhakti of Vasudeva is the highest. Savepam Sapara Dharma, how the best activity or best dharma for the time today is the uninterrupted and unmotivated service into the Supreme Lord. And we discussed the four aspects of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But the purpose of the kama or any artha, the material gain, is never to perform kama. This is the verse building up. If we get any material, then it should not be for our sense gratification. It is for Krishna's sense gratification. Krishna's senses, fulfilling his sense gratification. And with his, we fulfill his senses or his desires, our desires get automatically fulfilled. It's amazing how this science, it is completely opposite of how we think materially. Spiritually is completely opposite. That's why material life is perverted reflection of the spiritual life. It works. It's beautiful. So that's 2042. Maybe we can do the bhajan and then we can see if there are any questions or discussions. Is that okay? Who's singing the bhajan?
Yes, that's fine. Shyam Prabhu is ready.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Shyam Prabhu, are you there?
Yes, Mataji, I'm there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I share which bhajan you're going to sing?
Prabhuji, Gauranga Karna Karo.
Are you going to share, or I can find so everyone can see on the screen?
Yes, it is on the KK Songs website.
Oops, that doesn't look good. Wow. Hang on. Song lyrics. This one. Yeah, can everyone see my screen? I'm not sharing. Yes, go on, Prabhu, please.
Yes. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, maybe I'll, yeah. Gauranga karuna karo dinahi na jane mosa mo patita prabhu nahi tribhuvane Gauranga karuna karo dinahi na jane mosa mo patita prabhu nahi tribhuvane dante trinadari gaura daki he tumare kripa kariye sho amar hridaya mandire dante trinadari gaura daki he tumare कृपा करिए शो अमर हृदय मंदिरे जदि दया ना करिबे पतिता देखिया पतिता पावन नामा किशेरा लगिया जदि दया ना करिबे पतिता देखिया पतिता पावन नामा किशेरा लगिया पड़ीचे बाबा तूफाने नाही का निस्तारा श्री चरणा तरानी दने दसे खरा पारा पड़ीचे बाबा तूफाने नाही का निस्तारा श्री चरणा तरा निदाने दसे कर पारा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दसे अनुदासा प्रार्थना करिए सदा नरोत्तम दासा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दसे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दसे अनुदासा प्रार्थना करिए सदा नरोत्तम दासा गौरंगा करुणा करो दीनाहीन जाने मोसमो पतिता प्रभु नाही त्रिभुवाने गौरंगा करुणा करो दीनाहीन जाने मोसमो पतिता प्रभु नाही त्रिभुवाने हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Wow, thank you so much, Shyam Prabhu. He is so nice, so amazing, so sweet.
Very nice, Virgin. May I read the translation? Please?
Yes, Father. Please.
Translation. Oh, my dear Lord Gauranga, please show your mercy to this lowly and destitute soul. Oh Lord, there is no one more fallen than myself in all the three worlds. Holding grass between my teeth, O Lord Gaura, I am calling out to you now. Please be compassionate upon me and come to reside within the temple of my heart. If you do not give your mercy, seeing how fallen I am, then why are you known as Pattita Pavana, the merciful savior of the fallen? I'm plunged amidst the violent hurricane-stricken waves in the ocean of this material world, from which there is no escape. Kindly give me the gift of your divine lotus feet, which are compared to a boat in which your servant may cross over the ocean of birth and death. Narottama Dasa, the servant of of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, ceaselessly makes this prayer. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. We just discussed this song again. So Narottam Das Thakur is very, very elevated, very dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So even before Narottam Das Thakur had appeared, Mahaprabhu on the bank of Padmavati was calling Narottam, Narottam, Narottam. And the associate says, who's the Narottam? Why is Mahaprabhu calling Narottam? Narottam Das Thakur appeared many, many years later. And everyone's saying, what's up now? And people couldn't understand why it's calling, why is Mahaprabhu calling Narottam? Then there's the whole pastime of how Padmavati river personified comes, speaks to Mahaprabhu, and it's another conversation. But you can see the humility of a Vaishnava. He's so elevated. The Mahaprabhu was calling for him, and he's saying, Mahaprabhu, give me your mercy. There's no one more fallen than myself in all the three worlds. So how do we understand this? When someone so elevated speak like this, can anyone tell me what does it mean when someone shows? Do they really mean it, or is this for us to understand that we are the most fallen? Anyone would like to say something? Shyam Prabhu, any realizations you want to share with the song that you sang? Or anything that you like in the song, you can share.
Prabhuji, that's humbleness and kind of like a surrender and kind of like doing the prayers so sincerely, and also always we should always have that humbleness and that we are nothing and we are glorifying Lord, and always accepting that we are so fallen and we need the blessings and mercy of Gauranga.
Very nice. Thank you so much. It's amazing. How, that means what it says is the more the devotees advance in their spiritual life, and they're already they are from the Goloka Narottam Das Thakur, Golokera Prema Dhana Harinama Sankirtana, Narottam Das Thakur, many songs, and he's feeling like that, and he's genuinely, it's not just okay, you guys should know how you should do bhakti. It's not that. The Vaishnavas, the Acharyas actually genuinely feel, oh, they're so low, and this is the symptom of of a pure devotee. They feel so low, and this is completely again opposite of the material life. And it says the same thing: be compassionate, holding grasp between my teeth. This is the ultimate way of showing humility. In the old days, this is how people used to show their humility. If they have to take shelter, like even the Sanatana Goswami, and because when they first time met Mahaprabhu, the Ramakeli, they had straw in the mouth, and they fell at the feet of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is beautiful. Okay. Any question, any discussion? I don't know. We got 8 minutes, or we finish? I don't know. Tell me.
Prabhuji, I have a question. The translation of this bhajan, holding grass in my teeth, what it means?
Yeah, as I was saying before, this is like Trinadapi Shuni Chena Taror Eva Sahishnuna Manina Manadena Kirtanya Sadahari. It's like they're saying that I'm lower than the straw. So they put the grass straw, means I'm so low. This is a way of showing the humility, it's ultimate humility of showing oneself, that how I feel in front of you. So when this is the very high level Vaishnava etiquette, very high. We can't even imagine doing this in today's day and time. But this is the standard. This is the Vaishnava etiquette. We have the book Vaishnava etiquette. No one is. What interesting is no one has sat down and say, okay, now Rupa Goswami is not okay. I'm going to now write all the Vaishnava etiquettes. This is all the acharyas when they observe the great souls, when they observe the devotees, pure devotees of the Lord, they observe their behavior, their etiquette, how they deal with each other, how they dealt with Lord Mahaprabhu, and whole of Chaitanya Charitamrita is that exchange of devotees, exchange between lords and his devotees, and how devotees are, supporting each other. There's all the beautiful stories in there. Mahaprabhu would glorify his devotees in Madhya. If you read Mahaprabhu once after the Rath Yatra, all the devotees are returning back to Bengal or wherever they're coming from. Mahaprabhu is just glorifying one after another, one after another, one after another. Just can't glorify enough. But this is the Vaishnava behavior. Very, very high, ultimate.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams. It was a beautiful bhajan. Thank you, Shyam Prabhu and Shyam Hari Prabhu. Thank you for a nectarian class. Prabhuji, if I may, it would be useful if you could spend just a few minutes. I know you're probably over time, but if you could correlate this back, the verse today to how the Bhagavad Gita and Krishna refers to the three modes, and that all action fall into the three modes, and that how this verse is essentially telling us that we should be above the three modes and to Vishuddha Sattva mode. And once again, Shyam Prabhu, thank you for a lovely bhajan. It was really a beautiful bhajan, very beautifully sung. Thank you. And Shyam Hari Prabhu, thank you for a beautiful class.
For giving me the opportunity.
Kind, encouraging words. So to go back to what you said, Prabhu, is your question is, how do you relate this to the three modes of material nature?
I'm asking you to clarify for the devotees here, so because everything in Bhagavatam is an expansion in Bhagavad Gita, and that how this really is expanding on Krishna's definition of how all action falls into three modes, and that really that we should be above the three modes in the Vishuddha Sattva mode of beyond the three modes.
Yes. Do you want to share something? Seems like you already have some idea.
No, Prabhu, it's for you to say. It's not, I'm not qualified to speak.
No, Mahaprabhu. So this is Bhagavad Gita. There is three modes of, but the 14th chapter, it explains how everyone is going from one mode to the other mode, and from just quiet someone. Sorry, it's loud. Can everyone go on mute? Thank you so much. Yeah. So the devotee is above the three modes. Why is it above the three modes? Because all the activities that are performed for goodness, what does the goodness bring? Goodness means do good to others, good activities, and with goodness we get happiness, and with passion we get, as we do more and more passion, Bhagavad Gita explains, we get more and more desires. To fulfill more desires, we put more and more effort, and the result, it brings misery. And indolence or mode of ignorance, laziness brings destruction or disaster for everyone. So that's the three modes. But the problem with all the three modes is, with the three modes, we just keep coming back into the material life. If we have good karma, we are living in goodness, then we have good life. But the problem, that's a very, goodness is the very basic. At least we can't go to the Vishuddha Sattva before we come to the Sattva. So we get to the, gradually, everyone gets to the Sattva, and from Sattva Guna, we get, when we read Bhagavad Gita with Bhagavatam, we can relate to the words of Lord Hari or Lord Krishna more and more, and we can, it goes in, because we have developed that. It's like a soil which is more fertile. So when the Sattva, the soil is more fertile, the heart is more fertile to receive the the words of Krishna and Bhagavatam. So we go develop into gradually, because most people in today's day and time, we are stuck with the passion, ignorance and all even not talk about. But even for us, it's a process to go from the passion to the goodness. The goodness, we have said that in a platform, then we associate with devotees and we perform our tapasya, our sadhana, and from the sadhana we get to the understanding of the words, and then we get to the to the stage someday, we hope we someday get to that Vishuddha Sattva. So Bhagavad Gita, there is this this verse in the 14th chapter. I'm trying to recollect. Sagunan samtitayata brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Yeah. Mam cha vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitayatan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So Vishuddha Sattva brahma bhuta prasannatma sochati na kankshati. Sochati and kankshati are two things. Sochati is the mode of ignorance. Someone is always lamenting. Lamentation is mode of ignorance. And kankshati, or desiring or hankering, is mode of passion. So goodness is devoid of passion, devoid of hankering, and devoid of lamentation. Brahma bhuta prasanatama nasochadena kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labhate param. So we go step by step. The first is some sagunan samatitaya. Mam cha abhicharena. Abhicharena means someone who is uninterrupted again, without any ulterior motive, performing bhakti is the purpose. Yeah. With that, we go beyond the three modes. Mam cha vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitayatan. Samatitayan means some gunan. Gunan is the three gunas. Samatitayatan is that we go beyond those three modes, and we set ourselves in the Brahma Bhuya Kalpate. So once we've done that, then the next stage, which is the Para Bhakti, or you're talking about Para Dharma, is that second stage when you say Brahma Bhuta Prasanatama Nasochati na Kankshati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Labhate Param. Then after that, okay, Mam, then Bhaktama Vijanati Yavan Chasmi Tatvatva Tato Mam Tatvato Gyatva, and then Vishate Tadanandaram. So that's again explained in the following verse how once someone has got to that stage, then they Bhaktama Vijanati, then they understand me, and then they can be with me. And this is explained in many different ways, in many different verses. But that is a class by itself another day. I don't know whether that helps. You've gone past. Or something else you wanted to discuss. Don't know who asked that question, sorry.
It was perfect. Thank you, Prabhuji. It was just, it's nice to bring Gita knowledge into and tie it back in again. So thank you for that. It's Shailesh Govinda.
Does that answer your question? Like, do you think that's satisfying?
That's perfect. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Shailesh. Okay, we have 2 parts. Thank you so much. It's Sunday evening, and hope you all have a great Krishna conscious week ahead. Every day we are going to be connected again for Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Gane pavane vyo Vaishnavebhyo namo. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.